Articulate Thoughts, and this is a personal blog of mine where I share some thoughts, ideas, experience, and observations about conscious dance, which is a movement practice that uses dance as a form of moving meditation. And today's topic of conversation is always, always, which kind of seems like a weird thing to say, um, but it's kind of been like a theme that's been lingering in my life for quite a while. It was initially introduced by a philosopher named Bruce Lee, who's very popular for his martial arts films and um, just his influence in the martial arts community and being a significant icon in the Kung Fu Wing Chun style. And basically, his philosophy was, that there shouldn't be one predominant martial art that a fighter should study. They should study all styles of fighting and take in all the information, apply it, and works whatever makes you a better fighter. And if it doesn't make you a better fighter, then just leave it and move on to the next thing. And this is a very pioneering mentality at the time because at that time, the different regions of the world developed their own style of martial arts and fighting because it's just an essential survival skill and everyone has their own way of doing things. And every region tried to represent their own martial art and try to prove it was the best thing. But Bruce Lee kind of took this idea and said, forget it. Just let's everyone get together and share each other's secrets and just develop our own style as individuals. And the whole phrase of always, always kind of relates to this. It's just not always doing something one way, but always doing something every single way possible. And this understanding of this concept had expanded throughout the years, and particularly with dance. I've never been a professionally trained dancer, so whatever movements I apply on the dance floor is just a combination of all these different things that I kind of saw or imitated or just kind of experimented with, and it just kind of built over time. Um, it's just one of those things, and I think it's one something I see a lot. I go to lately. I've been going to a lot of clubs, but I also go to a lot of conscious dance. And when people dance, generally, it's very rare to find someone who has a very unique style of moving. Everyone kind of just have this very stiff, robotic type of movement, and I get it, right? Like generally speaking, the human body nowadays, like a lot of people, they're stuck indoors on computers. They walk to their car, they sit down on the public train, and there's a very limited range of motion that's being used on a daily basis. And I think this is the importance of not just dance, but just exercise in general. And I've always had this really weird vibe of going to a gym and using you know weight machines or just doing these exercises where it's very rudimentary and it's very you know straight lines and very defined patterns, and there's no room for creativity at all. And I think I don't really consider myself an athlete, but I am a little bit more athletic than the average person, I would say. And that's just because I love moving my body. As a kid, I just like loved running around and imitating martial arts moves I would see in video games or like movies or TV shows or whatever. And um, I had a phase in my life where I was very disconnected from my body, and I felt very limited, and it was torture. I was a very dark time in my life because I was losing connection between my mind and my body, and it was a very uncomfortable feeling. But it had its value, and I was able to learn how to really value this human body and how much of a gift and blessing it is to actually have this body for the limited amount of time that I'm renting it for, however that may be. And I think there's just too many mysteries about this body to not really explore. It's just when I'm on the dance floor and I'm exploring the movements and using the music as a conduit for a whole universe of expression, that's where I feel the most free and feel this concept of meta or like unconditional love throughout the universe. And I know it sounds really out there, but there is something about like some sort of gateway between movement and music, and being able to access a higher level of consciousness by exploring different movements. And there is some sort of like scientific research behind the development of the brain in relation to movement, and just expanding the range of motion that a body experiences does expand the its brain capacity as well. There's different information that needs to be processed and integrated and calibrated, and the virtue of that process allows the brain to expand and see things a little bit differently. And I don't have the exact scientific proof, but I'm sure if you're curious enough, you could go out and find it. If not, just go out and explore and just experiment. You know, try out an athletic activity you've never tried before. Try mountain climbing or archery or dance or swimming or running or rolling on the ground or martial arts or just whatever. Just go out there, use your body, check it out, and don't be so stuck on one way of doing things, especially with your body. Explore out there. You always do it all ways. All right. So yeah, I would also like to give a special thanks for this video to a friend back in Toronto named Jonna, and this whole thing of always always actually was started from him because he got a tattoo and it says always always, and people always thought it was kind of weird because Jonna was the type of guy who was just such a joker, just loved to make everyone laugh, and that was his first tattoo, and people just thought like, does he even know what he's talking about, or he's just being silly? But I saw what he was getting at, and like it was very profound and deep, and I think a lot of people underestimated him on that call. But this is like a decade ago, and it was a really good time. But just the thought of that brought back a lot of memories and inspired me to make a video about this in relation to where that concept has brought me to today. So thank you for tuning in. We'll be dancing tonight at Five Rhythms at the Central United Church tonight at 7 p.m. and inshallah, it would be great if you were there. Have a good day, week, month, year.